Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome. That, as they say, is that. Marvel Comics. Let's go ahead and get started. It's Tuesday, all you minties, and I'm the Uncanny Omar, and you're watching Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. That means it's time to take an advanced look at all of the collected editions coming out from Marvel Comics this week. So, let's go ahead and get started. And welcome back, everybody. Before going any further, a big thank you to David Gabriel and the fine folks at Marvel for sending us advanced copies of these books. All of these books are due out in the direct market and book market on June 10th or 11th, depending on where you get your books. So we have a brand new start of an event epic collection, and we've got a new miniseries I've been really looking forward to reading, and then of course the continuation of Stephanie Phillips' Spider-Gwen, the new From the Ashes series right here with Storm, and then the continuation of the Marvel Masterworks Daredevil Volume 19. Before I go any further, don't forget, yeah, that's right, double smash that like button. It goes a long way for us here on the channel. And also, I put timestamps in the description of the video so you can jump around in case you're only interested in seeing or hearing about a certain book. But yeah, all that is in the description of the video. So this week, let's go ahead and start with Spider-Gwen. Spider-Gwen, the Ghost Spider, Volume 2. So this is the new era of Spider-Gwen, and the covers are supplied here by Mark Brooks, Phillips, Vianelli, Randall, and Milla right there. And this is the previous volume, Volume 1, Haunted. So this is a continuation. So again, some spoilers for what's happening lately in Gwen Stacy's life. And then when I say Gwen Stacy, if you are just now coming back to comics and you're like, what? Wait, what? When is Gwen Stacy? What's going on? How long has she been alive? This is a Gwen Stacy from a different universe. This is a Gwen Stacy that developed powers and then something happened to her Peter Parker. But during this time, it's very, very important to note that this Gwen Stacy is now living in our 616 universe. So this is really cool. Gwen Stacy created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. I don't think I've ever noticed that. Stephanie Phillips is writing it. Paolo Villanelli doing issues 6, 8 through 9. And then Von Randell doing issues 7 and 10. Matt Milla, the colorist. And Ariana Mayer, the letterer. So collecting issues 6 through 10 of the Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider 2024 series. The book has 112 pages and retails for $15.99. So in the previous volume, we saw that Ghost Spider, as she's calling herself, she's been given a bad name because the chameleon had been pretending to be her. And now she's just trying to clear her name up, and there's some new villains that are coming into the picture. So she has to make alliances with people in the 616 universe. So some people know that she's here. Others, like the entirety of the Marvel universe, doesn't know that she's living here. So one of her, I guess, alliances that she's met or made is none other than Jessica Jones. So Jessica, that's who's on the cover, by the way, is the one that's kind of helping her get through her everyday life. And then she also runs into this guy right here. This is a newer character that is playing kind of a love interest to her. And he's just some guy that she runs into at the coffee shop while she's trying to be all incognito. And he will play sort of like the coffee shop crush, I guess. Now, the big player that has made an appearance and tried to make a move into the city is the Black Tarantula. This is a villain that could be... I love this artwork right here. It does definitely have that anime flair. It could be a villain that has shown up in the past, or it could be somebody new, but he's trying to make a power play for the city. And then, of course, you've got other characters here that will be helping him. And what's interesting about this storyline that's happening to Spider-Gwen is that she doesn't know herself where she wants to be, because the tarantula actually has some good ideas, and she doesn't see him really as a true villain. Now, there is a villain through here, and that is Mr. Fear. And yes, you probably are familiar with the character if you've been reading Daredevil for a long time, but he comes back with this, actually, this outfit is kind of wicked. And you have the tarantula, again, making some power moves here behind the scenes. And Gwen is kind of stuck in the middle. Like, what does she do? Does she ally herself with her friends again, like Jessica Jones and Luke Cage? Or does she end up joining him? And what the heck does Mr. Fear have to do with any of this? And what about the coffee shop crush? What does he have to do with any of this? Well, keep on reading to find out. In the back, we do have some variant covers. Back here. They're thumbnail size, and some of them are in between issues too, in full splash pages. But that's Spider-Gwen, the Ghost Spider, Volume 2, Unraveled, 112 pages, $15.99. Ultraman and the Avengers, or Ultraman times the Avengers. What does that give you? The Ultra Team, the Ultra Force. Man, I have been enjoying this series since Kyle Higgins and company have brought them over to Marvel Comics. So you have Kyle Higgins and Matt Groom writing the story, Francesco Mana still doing the artwork, Matt Milla doing the colors, and then Ariana Mayer doing the lettering. This is collecting issues 1 through 4 of Ultraman and the Avengers. I guess it's and the Avengers. Not really sure what the X is. It's not like they're... Well, no, they are kind of fighting. All right, this is all taking place in the reality where Ultraman and the Ultra Team are still a big part of it. So they are about to meet the Avengers, though. So you have characters in here like Shin, of course. You've got Man, you've got Kiki, Ippei, Fumio, and who is it? Yuriko. Yuriko's the other character that will end up meeting some of these Avengers. But it all starts off on this planet Zarab. And Galactus is here to come and claim this planet. Now, somewhere out there is the Ultra Force, and they're seeing some kind of anomaly that is happening. It's like a trans-universal event. And you probably all know what that means by now, especially from watching the movies. And who shows up? None other than Miles Morales' Spider-Man, the guy on the cover right here. He shows up, and he's like, whoa, why are you guys pointing guns at me? And they're like, who are you? And he ends up telling them that something big is coming their way. Something named Galactus. And they're like, dude, we got this. We got Ultraman. And you'll see, he's like, what the heck is Ultraman? And they're like, we are. So if you've been reading the previous miniseries, you know that this is the team that comes, that makes up Ultraman. So yeah, he's right here. Who's Ultraman? We are. So here's Ultraman again with his limitations of how long he can be Ultraman, how much he can use his powers. And then you have the monster attack team right here. These characters of the the monster attack team. I forgot it's different than the Ultra Force team. So they're interesting to see just how they are facing off against these different type of monsters, because we're used to kaiju, him like fighting a bunch of kaiju, but whenever he has to deal with somebody like Galactus, if Galactus is truly coming, then how can they fight off against someone like him? And then the Avengers, of course, show up because they've been looking for Spider-Man, but so does Peter Parker's Spider-Man. He shows up and Miles is like, wait, Spider-Man's with the Avengers? I didn't realize he was a member. And he's like, no, dude, we've been looking for you. So this is when these teams come together to come and help out the Ultra Force team and the Monster Attack Squad to take down Galactus and some of his possible heralds that could be kaiju. A lot of ridiculous and over-the-top things happen here, but this is the type of fun story I love. If you like things like Godzilla versus Justice League versus Kong, Godzilla versus Spider-Man, or even like things like Predator versus Spider-Man or Wolverine, this is just as fun with beautiful, beautiful artwork here by Francesco Mana. I love his artwork. He is such a solid artist, and I've just grown to like him more and more. But there are things that happen in here that if you're a fan of Avengers and you're a fan of Ultraman, you're going to be like, oh, I didn't see that coming. That's awesome. In the very back, we do have some of the covers collected. Some of them are in between issues as well, and drawn by just different artists. We have some original art right here. Those are the inks. And right there. The book has 112 pages and retails for $15.99. Storm, Volume 1, Earth's Mightiest Mutant. So this is the recent ongoing series of Storm. Now, Storm has had miniseries in the past, and she's actually had an ongoing series. So it's nice to see her come out of Krakoa and have her own ongoing series. And I never know which way it's going to go. So I'm going to explain a little bit here. This gives you a little breakdown. So I guess spoilers for what happened in Krakoa, in case you're not familiar, because they do talk about it some here. But then some of, I think most of these from the Ashes books do. So it is written by Murewa Ayodele. It is Lucas Wernick. Oh my gosh, the artwork in here. Doing the art, the colors by Alex Gumarayes and Travis Lanham doing the lettering. And we have these beautiful, by the way, I gotta give credit to the cover artist, Mateos Manhanini. Solid covers. So this book collects Storm 1 through 5. It's her new ongoing series that kicked off in 2024. Has 128 pages and it's $17.99. So the premise behind this is Storm during this time is with the Avengers. This is awesome. This is like an identity, like, character deep dive. Who is she? Because she herself is wondering who she is. She's been a Queen of Wakanda, Regent of Araco, an X-Man, an Avenger. She's been a goddess. It's amazing just how complicated of a character she is, and yet some people can't get her right. Takes the proper writer to actually understand her character. Man, she's absolutely stunning is the only way I can describe Lucas Wernick's, his Storm. There's no other way to describe it. So here she is in her own sanctuary, and then there's a distress call where she ends up going to Oklahoma City. And she's leaving Atlanta, goes to Oklahoma City. Again, she's part of the Avengers here. She takes Frenzy with her because there's a nuclear reactor. Something's going off here that's destroying Oklahoma City. And Frenzy tries to help her out here. And as it turns out that she does find this big nuclear reactor that they're looking for because there's like a huge meltdown at this nuclear facility. So she's like, Frenzy, you go and help people. And I like this part right here where Frenzy's looking at this guy and his kids and she's like, Orcus? And she's like, snap the hell out of it, Frenzy. We save everyone. And that's just Storm, right? That's who she is. Oh my God, she is literally Mother Earth. Like, that's the way she should be written. So a piece of shrapnel hits her, so you see that she's vulnerable, and she's still like, no, we have to go and stop this nuclear reactor. This facility has to be stopped. And as she gets closer and closer to the facility, she starts feeling sick. Like, she starts getting sick, and the narration will tell you that she ends up getting radiation poisoning. And in the middle of this, where she was supposed to find some kind of power grid, she ends up finding a mutant whose power has just kick-started and a bunch of dead engineers around him and scientists, and he's like, please kill me. Man, it's so dark, and she's like, no, enough lives have been lost today, child. And then we keep doing a little bit of a jump forward and jump back. We see the newscast here just interviewing different people, talking about the nuclear reactor. They don't know anything about the mutant kid yet until she makes an announcement in Atlanta, which is where we saw it at the very beginning right here, where she's about to give a news conference right here. She goes out of her sanctuary, and we go back to this. So like I said, a little bit of jumping back and forth, and we notice that she starts coughing, and there's a little bit of blood in her hand. She realizes that she's sick. And she does tell everyone here, I love this before and after, that this big nuclear meltdown was caused by a mutant whose powers had been just activated. So you see the way the X-Men react to this, you see the way her Avengers react to this, and you see the way public reacts. And then we go over somewhere, maybe a time jump. I don't want to reveal everything here because it is such a great, compelling story where we see Eternity summoning her to me, my eternal Storm. And you're like, what the heck does that mean? Because the narrative is that she's dying and she's trying to get help. So we see a countdown of 24 hours left. We'll see a countdown of 15 hours left. And she's still trying to help the world. So what she's trying to do here is eventually get the help of Dr. Voodoo. I was blown away by how good this was. This is one of those books that, holy crap, it makes me happy. I still, just so happy that I still read X-Men. Sometimes it is so difficult to enjoy X-Men because, you know, I have only been reading X-Men for 40 years. There's people that have been reading X-Men since the beginning, and, you know the way that these characters are supposed to act, so you don't like when they act out of character, you don't like when things get retconned. There are writers that come in, and I completely understand, that don't respect the past because they want to move on forward with what they, what they consider should be a good, propelling story that will lift your character up. And some of that, unfortunately, causes some retcons. And I have to say, Ayodele, I've only read Iron Man, and I was a little like, oh, I guess we'll see. But I do like Lucas Wernick. I like his artwork. So coming in to the book, I was like, well, at least there'll be pretty artwork. Man, I was blown away by everything. This, like, it made me cry. I wasn't expecting to be like, manly eye sweat coming down my face. I wasn't expecting that. It was beautiful the way that this is written, and I don't think she's ever looked better. Like, oh, it is absolutely stunning. She is reunited with the X-Men. There's a little bit of a dinner with Doom. You know, like, Doom since, like, the early issues of Chris Claremont. Has always had this dinner with Storm. Oh, man, there's something that happens here, especially when she's with the X-Men, that you're like, oh, man. Now, that is something I've been wanting to see. That's something Chris Claremont wanted to see, but people wouldn't let him do it. Wow, right? Like, I can't, like, there's no words I can say that will sell you better than that. Now, I do have to say, though, that I haven't said it, but just in case, this gets my seal of approval. Like, sometimes I get so excited about talking about a book, and I'm like, oh, man, this is the kind of X-Men book I want to see out there. Respecting the past, moving with the character forward, and acknowledging everything that's happened before, while still telling a story, a very important story that kind of summarizes everything that a character is, and has been, and will be. Man, this was so good. I gotta do one more thing before we look at the extras, and that is, it's in the last issue, but I had to point out that this Phoenix right here looks a lot like my buddy and friend of the channel, Oddfell. Just like, I was like, did Lucas Wernick find her picture online dressed as Phoenix? By the way, the letter by Murewa, every one of the writers, Gail Simone, Jen McKay, Saladin Ahmed, at the end of the first issue wrote a letter. And the letter by Murewa, his letter is actually funny because it caught my attention when he wrote a couple of things. He did it on purpose. Yes, if you're a fan of X-Men, if you're a fan of Storm, check this out. It was such a great read, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. I was just surprised. That is an awesome homage cover right there. This one collects the first 5 issues, 128 pages, $17.99. And it's come to be that time of the video where we look at the spines of all the books that are coming out this week, and also a small reminder to hit that like button, please. It goes a long way for us here on the channel. It's a small thing you can do, but it means the world to us. All right, let's continue with the overview. All right, I just gave my seal of approval to Storm. So what does that mean for Annihilation? You already know how much I love this book. You already know, because if you've been watching my channel for a while, I have talked nonstop. I've done a spoiler review of the Omni. I've done 3 different overviews. I've done an old reader, new reader. And I absolutely love this modern cosmic era. So how is this mapped, first of all? So let's talk about what's collected. This collects Drax the Destroyer 1 through 4, the Annihilation one-shot prologue, the Annihilation Nova 1 through 4, Annihilation Silver Surfer 1 through 4, and then Annihilation Super Scroll 1 through 4. 472 pages, and the book retails for $44.99. And one thing I want you to note, it's just an Epic Collection, Volume 1, 2005, 2006. It doesn't say modern, it doesn't say modern era or event Epic Collection. It just says modern era Epic Collection. I didn't want people to think that they're starting a new line because I called it an event. But it is an event, and it is their very first event, and I hope to see more and more of this. I hope to see it with books and stories that they've left out of things like New Avengers, like Civil War, or even the Secret Invasion, and things like that, out of the Epic collections. And Annihilation is something that they left out. It's mapped exactly like the Omni. It's got which is the way to read this, right? To me, this is the best way to read it. You read the first 4 issues of Drax that aren't really an Annihilation storyline, but it does show you what happens to Drax and how he changes from the big dumb Drax to this new kind of badass Drax. We see the Blood Brothers through here, and we're introduced to this character, Cammy, who to this day still plays a big role in the world of the Marvel comics. So much so that she was in Avengers, what was it, Underground, she was in the Cosmic Ghost Rider, and then we properly kick it off with the Annihilation one-shot. This is the prologue that sets everything up, that has this big wave of something evil to destroy all these planets, and one of the things they end up destroying is the home of the Nova Corps. So this is when the Nova Corps is just wiped out clean, and the last remaining Nova Corps member is Richard Rider of Earth, former New Warrior, former kid called Nova. And we start setting up the other miniseries, like the character of Ronan here, who will have his own miniseries, which will be in the second volume of this. We'll start seeing how the characters of Nova and Silver Surfer and the Super Skrull will play a big part through here. So Nova is working with the World Mind right now, trying to figure out who exactly did this and who is behind everything. He will be running into Drax and Cammy, so that's why it's important to read Drax the Destroyer. And also teaming up with characters like Quasar. Then we see Silver Surfer looking for other heralds, because something's going on. I love the fact that the Nova Corps database files are in between issues here. Because something is going on out there. Somebody is destroying all these planets, and who is behind everything? That I won't spoil. If you want to see my full spoiler overview of this, then check out my omnibus overview. The latest one, it's the review of it. But this is Silver Surfer and Galactus will play a big part in all of this. And characters will look a little bit different, like the way that Airwalker's designed. The Super Skrull is a series that I was like rolling my eyes when I was reading it as it was coming out. I'm like, this is so dumb. Why do I care about this character? But I legit care about the characters that show up through here. So it's not just the Super Skrull, but it's also Praxagora. Oh man, I love that character. His buddy Rickon, and then of course Preek. They're all helping the Super Skrull try to figure out what exactly is going on out there. So each one of the miniseries have their mission. The Super Skrull has to get to the negative zone where things are happening. And it's a very personal mission. And there is, like I said, the Nova Corps files in between issues. But, you know, Kalerda's not alone. And there's a lot of twists and turns with this one. And that's all I will say leading up to the next miniseries. In the back, we have some character designs for the new Drax series. And then the layouts by Scott Collins, the prologue variant. Or, I'm sorry, this is the uncolored sketch variant by Adi Granov. And then the different covers, the promotional art right here for issue number 1. Silver Surfer number 2 unused recap art page, and then the connecting covers here for the 4 miniseries that lead into Annihilation. 472 pages, $44.99. Last and certainly not least is the latest Marvel Masterworks of Daredevil, Volume 19. And just in case, if you don't watch my Saturday live stream, I did say this past Saturday that these Marvel Masterworks are unfortunately put on hiatus right now. Indefinite hiatus. So I know people have already gotten the word out. They've been writing emails with the subject line, Save the Masterworks. So I hope if you're a fan of these and you're watching this right now, just, you know, write an email out there to the people at Marvel to let them know that you are still interested in the series and what they mean to you. And as always, like I like to tell people, you know, be courteous, be polite. No need for negativity, right? We're trying to save the line. And things like that have happened in the past where lines have been canceled. As a matter of fact, the Marvel Masterworks line has been canceled in the past. But yes, for reasons, unfortunately, they are on indefinite hiatus. And it makes me sad because I have a lot of my viewers that absolutely love getting the Masterworks, and I have a lot of viewers that are creators that love the Masterworks, that have every single one of them, and some of them have had them since day one, and that's just amazing to me that you've followed a line for that long. This is Daredevil 19 that collects issues 204 to 214, as well as material from Marvel Fanfare 15, 296 pages, $75. Dennis O'Neil, of course, is the main writer here. Harlan Ellison writing really one issue, and the other one he has ideas for, and Arthur Byron cover doing those 2 issues with Harlan Ellison. David Mazzucchelli doing the writing for issue 210, as well as with Dennis O'Neil. David Mazzucchelli coming back as the penciler. And then you've got Lou McDonnell and William Johnson, Danny Bulanati and Mel Candido doing the inks right here, and then lettering by Joe Rosen. And colors like Bob Sharon and George Russo's. Here's your table of contents with your introduction by Michael Higgins. I love this right here. This is a Dennis O'Neil original sketch of the Gale. That's right. The Gale will become an important character, so he thought. There were a lot of important things that Dennis O'Neil wanted to do with the book. One of my favorite things about the introduction right here, doesn't really spoil much, so you can read it beforehand, is talking about the artist William Johnson, who Michael Higgins has no idea whatever happened to him. You know, he did a couple of issues of Daredevil, then he went to do Transformers and the Raw Manual and some pin-ups, and just kind of left the comic book world. It's interesting to see, like, how people remember that. Like, oh, whatever happened to that artist? Because you work with them, right? Like, these are people you work with. And then my other favorite thing is mentioning Joe Rosen. Probably my favorite, absolute favorite letterer. And he lettered many thousands of pages for Marvel Comics. Passed away a few years ago. And I don't think it gets enough credit, honestly. Letterers are, to me, the unsung heroes of comic books. So I'm glad to see him getting some mention and some love. He also talks about his interactions with Harlan Ellison. And there are about 3 issues in here I've never read. I don't know how that happened. I thought I had read all the Daredevil, and nope. There are 3 issues in here I haven't read. So we have the return of this character right here, Mikasin. And that's a character that you could see, even before you read the introduction, Dennis O'Neil was trying to make happen. And try to make happen like Ra's al Ghul was happening for Batman. He was trying to make Mikasin his Rage. And I thought that was so interesting that we were trying to do this with this character that kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. You have Foggy, and you've got Petunia, and Becky here playing the supporting cast. Foggy sporting that mustache there. But yeah, Mikasin is kind of like this hunter, and then you've got Crossbow over here, who kind of plays as the he's kind of like a vigilante that's for hire. But that's the return of Mikasin, and then he'll come back for like a 3 or 4-parter. Then we have the Gale, and it's interesting because if you see this introduction here, the Gale is that's the way Dennis O'Neil wanted him to look, but he looks a little bit different here. Like, it didn't really get changed. He was not happy with the way that the Gale turned out. He wanted to make him a little bit more like that of the look of the Phantom or somebody like that. No, the Shadow, that's who it is. Becky here, and we might have the return of the Kingpin while still dealing with this guy right here, Mikasin. And then we've got Hunted by Hydra, this story right here, where he is forced to sometimes team up with the villains. But yeah, the stories that I've never read are the Harlan Ellison stories, and that's what this is. So I haven't read this Hydra story. That's the first one for me, and it's just him fighting Hydra and giving the characters of Hydra a little bit of more than just some kind of goon. For some reason, I've never read 207, 208, and 209, but here we go with 208. 208 is a really interesting story. It is written by Harlan Ellison, but Arthur Byron cover, probably doing the script here. And it's about how Daredevil is following this little girl who needs help, and it turns out that she lures him into this mansion that is full of traps. And he's like, what the heck is going on? And he has to use all his senses to try to escape this big mansion that is just full of nothing but traps for him. And when you get to the end, you find out exactly why. The second one has the return of that other, or the same little girl, but this time around, it's almost like a legion of little girls that are after Daredevil. And again, a little bit of a twist with the ending of that. Then we end it with this trilogy right here of, again, Mightiest and Crossbow teaming up against Daredevil with actually some great artwork, because eventually by the time we get to, let me see, I think it was 210 is the issue that, yeah, this one right here, David Mazzucchelli draws. Now, he always wanted to ink his own stuff, but editors at the time would not let him. So now we have Daredevil perhaps teaming up with the Kingpin, and then this is right before the Born Again stuff that is going to happen. And then we have this right here. This is David Mazzucchelli inking his own work, which is amazing, because by now Klaus Janson had ended up leaving the book. And then, of course, let's look at the extras back here. So you have some pinups here, Marvel Fanfare, and Marvel Age articles, highlights, and then original covers here from David Mazzucchelli, original internal artwork from Mazzucchelli and Dani Bulanati, and then some originals by just Mazzucchelli himself. Then the biographies on the folks behind the scenes. And just how many of them are gone. 296 pages, and again, $75. And that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing any of these books, don't forget to check out our sponsor, CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content and page count of each of these books. Let me know in the comments down below which one you are most excited to pick up, and of course, which one you don't even know about. Like, which one you didn't even know was getting a trade paperback or some kind of collection. You didn't know it existed. Or if you've never read classics like this right here. And man, I cannot believe I did not read those two Harlan Ellison issues. But that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Smash that like button on the way out. Stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.